Welcome back, everyone, to the I'm going to say it right this time, I swear, the Fortean Tennessee podcast. And we're your everyday friendly field research team. I'm Josh, here with Houston and Randy. Say hi, guys.
What's up?
Yeah,
What's up, guys?
Yeah, so enthusiastic today. We're talking about some fun stuff, hopefully. But you guys went out to the field a couple days ago. Was it yesterday?
Yeah. It was about 3 days ago.
I know it was Sunday.
Yeah, it was Sunday.
Yeah, 3 days ago, I guess.
Yeah. And you guys hit one of our normal spots.
Hit the hot spot, yeah. Didn't get any activity. We got some weird turkey activity for there for a while, but that's about it.
Oh,
and a pissed off squirrel yelling at us.
Yeah, we got a squirrel really angry at us.
I do have a theory that this is Randy's fault, though, because he brought apples. And I told him, I said, do they like apples? And he was like, yeah. He's like, and they're cheaper, too. And I was like, okay, so they didn't,
What do you what would you usually bring them out there? Was it oranges?
Peaches. We used to take peaches.
Peaches. That's what it is. You've been cheap, huh? Not giving peaches.
That's what Houston was saying. I was getting cheap on them.
Now, have you gotten any gifting back recently?
Recently, no.
But you've gotten
the only gifting I've ever gotten back is literally peach seeds.
Yeah, they brought the peach seeds back.
Where it looked it looked like they just spit them out. Like it looked like they just stood there, ate the peaches, and spit the seeds out where they were standing. That's what it looked like.
Did they bring back the peach pits that time, or was it the seeds that I'm thinking of?
They brought a mango back once.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We took mangoes out there, and 2 weeks went by, and we went out there. We went. This is when we go like 4 times a week. So we left these mangoes, then we left peaches, then we left apples, and we left peaches. And 2 weeks goes by, we go out there to put peaches down, and there's one single solitary mango sitting on the limb that we put all the stuff on, and literally gave you this impression of like, give us more mangoes.
Where'd you get this, fool? Like, bring that back. That's interesting. I've always found that like the gifting back thing was always like pretty cool. I was like, that's because like crows do that too, and like some animals will do that.
Talk about gifting back. We've got a really interesting story about gifting back.
Yeah,
and it ties into like this little people stuff that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, talking about the Tennessee Pygmies, the legend of the Tennessee Pygmies. Now, I'm going to preface this to the audience now. When I got into this, and I came down to Tennessee, I came down for Squatch, okay? And once you start going down that rabbit hole, you realize the rabbit hole has a lot of tunnels. And Randy had just brought up, it was like a couple years into it, you were like, you found like a historical or one of the records, right, in the town of the mass grave.
Yeah.
And that's in that area. That it was a mass grave of pygmies, or what they think that at first they thought they were children, right?
Yeah, they thought they were children, but there was so many of them, and they noticed that when they were pulling these skulls up, they said the skulls were 3.5 inches across,
mm-hmm.
and that the skulls had fused together, and some of them had their wisdom teeth, which, you're not born with your wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
You're not born with your skull fused. That's a process that takes about 2 years for it to fuse. So, and none of the bodies that they found were over 3 feet tall.
Now there's a lot of like myth and legend around this area that we do our research that pertain to the Tennessee Pygmies, or what's the other the name for them?
The Cherokee name is Yunwi Tsundi.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Yunwi Tsundi, right? I'm gonna butcher these names today, guys.
I still can't say that.
Yeah.
Yunwi
Tsundi.
Yunwi Tsundi. Basically, Yunwi Tsundi, yeah.
Yunwi Tsundi. Okay.
Quick question: do you have my books on that? We talked about that the other day because they're missing.
Maybe I'll have to look through my books and see.
Conspiracy.
So we went up to it's where one of our active sites, where where we're talking about, where we went this past weekend, and there's a little Indian trading post on the exit of that little park.
Oh yeah.
And me and Randy went there, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We're just checking it out, and they actually had a little book on little people Yunwi Tsundi. So I go ahead and buy it, and we laugh because we go out and we just sit in our truck, and we see the guy that we bought it from, which was this look like Native American guy, just close the doors as we leave, like, oh, these guys,
shutting up shop. Yeah.
yeah. And then now I can't even find the books. So
Someone came in. Someone's trying to stop us from knowing.
yeah.
So
it literally felt like the beginning of a horror movie.
Right.
Like, oh, so when you guys came in and looked at it, and then that was the only thing you bought, right?
Yeah.
Did he give you a look? You didn't ask him about it? Like, oh, you guys are selling this book. What do you know about it?
I don't remember a look. He was nice. I've
Yeah.
spoken with him before. I bought some stuff there, but yeah, he was.
Then you just shut the door.
He didn't have any comments on the book.
Oh no, that sounds.
Apparently, that book was the big sale of the day, so he was shutting up shop.
So they find this mass grave, and it seems like these are no more than 3 foot tall adult somethings, right?
Yeah.
Humanoids, living in the southern Appalachians, like this.
Around the Cumberland Plateau.
Yeah, right on the Cumberland Plateau.
Yeah.
Now, again, when I said I came down to Tennessee for Sasquatch, and you start learning about all this other really weird stuff, very Fortean, to say the least. I grew up watching like Erie, Indiana. Remember that show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
This is what our area feels like when me coming down here. So much weird, wild tales and the legends around here. It really has made me think with some of the stuff we've experienced. It has put that seed in the back of my head that, like, well, what if it's a little like these little pygmies that we're actually dealing with here? Becomes even. I don't even know if it's scarier. I think it's. I know you, Randy, you have told me very profusely that would probably stroke you out if you saw one of those things.
It would probably,
more
yeah.
than a Sasquatch.
Yeah. I think I'm creeped out way more by this whole phenomenon than I am, Bigfoot by a long shot.
I've really thought about that too. I was like, what do I want to see? What could I handle seeing? I don't know.
Well, what the people describe seeing is just naked little humans, about 3 foot tall.
Now, that's another thing is you've gotten a lot of, or we've found a lot of encounter stories of that. Some in, was it Lovelock, Ohio? There was a sighting up there, but that's far away from our area.
Yeah.
There have been recent sightings.
Oh, there's been a ton of them around here, yeah.
Recent sightings down here of Yunwi Tsundi.
And did they just call you just with the Bigfoot connection, or
the woman that told me the one about the one creeping around,
Yeah.
She wanted to go on a Bigfoot, but she wanted to go on a Bigfoot field excursion.
Right.
So she got hold of my ex-boss. My ex-boss was like, "Hey, this lady, she's got a weird story she wants to tell you, and she wants to go see Bigfoot." So, word of mouth. I'm the weirdo.
You go out there, and then she just tells you this story, right?
Yeah. Tell us the encounter that she had.
she had okay. So most of these encounters that I've talked to with people that have seen these things, they've all been very similar. It's been roadside sightings
Mm-hmm.
where it looks like these things are about to cross the road in front of a car, or they crossed the one of them. They actually said they watched it cross the road after the car passed. But this lady had just moved down from Ohio um, here to McMinnville, the area we live in, and she explained how was one of those aluminum outbuildings
Mm-hmm.
that was at the back of the property up against the wood line, and that it was there when they moved there, and it was all overgrown, and that they never put anything in there. It was empty as far
Mm-hmm.
as she knew, and that she was washing dishes at the back window in her kitchen, and she said she saw something movement out there next to that shed, and so she said she started to pay attention to what was going on, and she said as she was paying attention, she watched as this thing that was standing up like a man, the way she described it, comes sneaking, the way she put it, sneaking like it didn't want to be seen out of that outbuilding, and then pressing up against the side of the outbuilding and
Like
going around the
sliding
corner
across it, right?
and yep, and sliding up all the way to the wood line.
Oof. Like, how do you process that? You're just doing dishes, looking out your window, and like a little 3-foot naked dude.
And she has no idea that any of these other people have come to us and told us about their sightings.
Yeah.
He was just like, I've never seen Bigfoot. I've seen this, and then goes off with that.
And see,
And
that's what the audience needs to know is like sometimes we go out looking for one thing and people are like, "Nah, I've never seen this," and then we find a bunch of people are seeing that same thing in the area. Yeah. So what are some of the other ones?
The Cherokee described the Yunwi Tsundi as like having three clans. There's like the Mountain Laurel clan, the Tree clan, and the Stone clan. And like the Stone clan, you don't want to mess with; they'll kill you with little bows and arrows. And it's like, what clan are we dealing with? In this area.
Yeah, that's what I want to know now. Is like whose territory are we in, and who do we got to pay respects to?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Stone Clan, huh, or the Mountain Clan. I feel like we got the Mountain Clan.
That's probably what we got, I would think, right?
I would say the Cave Clan.
The Cave Clan.
The Cave Clan.
And
probably,
that's something else I was thinking about with these things. It's like they could get down in those caves fucking super easy. Little dudes and like plenty of shelter and stuff.
And there's stories. The natives have talked about that sometimes if you lost things in the woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little people would bring them back to you.
Yep.
The items. And we've had that happen to us multiple times on Cardwell Mountain where we've lost things and there they are. Like I lost a hat one day on the mountain, came back on the mountain a completely different way, and the hat was right there in the freaking front of me in the trail. Like, wasn't even that part of the mountain. I don't know how it got there. I lost a prospector hammer up on the mountain one day.
Mm-hmm.
Was coming down another side of the mountain. There it is, right in front of the trail, right in the middle of the trail, like it's waiting for me. Houston wants to relate his.
Yeah, Houston. That's my favorite one.
Yeah. So real quick, yours were both on Cardwell, right?
Yes.
So it is really hard. Like the thing that makes this such a crazy story, but it's hard to articulate is how big this mountain is.
Yeah,
I don't know how
Cardwell's
many times.
Massive.
Yeah, dude, we get lost, and I mean we're up there constantly, but we still get lost on the trails. I mean, just because you can get turned around so easy. I don't know how many square miles are up there, but like it's dense up there in parts. So me and Randy was going up one day, and I had this. I guess it's like a combat knife, but I mean I more just used it, for like digging and stuff like that. I just had it right there on my backpack. We went up to the peak and I don't know, probably, flying the drone. I forget what we were doing up there that day. And we walked from where the standing stones are over to where like the bluffs are. And on the way back, I noticed that my knife was missing. And so me and him kind of looked for about 20 minutes or something, and I really wanted to try to find it just because my sister had bought it for me way
Mhm.
back when. So it was kind of just a neat little keepsake. So like we looked for about 20 minutes, and it was like, dude, we're not going to find it. Let's just start heading back because like I don't want to spend all day up here. So we go back and we I think I come home and I get on eBay and I'm trying to find an exact, pretty much replica of this knife. Found out that it was a combat knife that a Vietnam helicopter pilot carried. Um, so bought another one and had it shipped to me. And about a week later, me and Randy are going back up there. Again, I've got the new knife on my side or whatever, attached to my backpack. And as we're heading up, Randy's actually not feeling well that day. So we kind of take a shortcut. It's like, yeah, like we'll see, how far we can get today.
Mhm.
And at one point, Randy's like, okay, I need to, take a break. Let's just sit down, catch our breath for a second. We sit down in this log and we're just, sitting there chit chatting about stuff. Now, Randy has told me these stories before about finding stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh,
So
yep.
while me and him are talking, I look down and there is my knife. Now, again, the knife had fallen out of like the sheath part. So like I'm looking down and I see, of course, like the blade and the handle of this thing.
Just
And I
between your legs. Like sitting right, you just sat down and it's like
it
directly
was
on the
it was
ground in
like a
front of
foot
you.
in front of me between my legs. So like I grab the sheath where my new one is and I feel it. The new one that I've got. And so like
Yeah.
I have all of that. So I reach down and I just pick this thing up and I just look at Randy and he's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I've been trying to tell y'all for years. It's like you can't explain this stuff. So I don't know, man. Like I know at one point Randy did think that that was Bigfoot related, and then now you've heard these stories, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I just time traveled. I'm playing a joke on myself. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how in the
Like
world
Yeah, yeah.
this ended up in front of me. So it's also important to know again, like when we took that shortcut, we did not go that way when I had my original. So there's no way that I walked up that trail and it fell out in that exact spot. We didn't take that way when we had it.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think we did take it on the way back when I knew that I had lost it. But I mean, again, we stayed up there again 20 minutes looking for it and then came down. It was not on me at that point. And so I have no clue how to explain that it ended up in that spot. We just happened to sit down right in front of where it would be. And it was in front of me. I don't know, man.
And the other thing is like you got neither one of you noticed it walking up either. So it's like as if you sat down and as you're chit
Yeah.
chatting, something just came and placed it right there.
If we didn't sit down, I would still not have it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. I mean, it was even, like I said, I mean, we were sitting down for a minute and I didn't even see it because the grass was kind of grown up.
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. Like, it's almost hard to believe that that happened, even looking back, because it's just like the chances that there is
On
just,
that entire mountain, yeah.
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 And it's happened twice to Randy and once to you, so it's like we got
It
three
happened once to Catman too.
Oh, and Catman. So we got 4 instances just on our team alone. So that's like, okay, what do we do with this? Like it kind of it does throw some like a wrench in the gears in the research a bit because you're like, we're looking for one thing, this, for Sasquatch down to the wild man, but we're just like tripping over these other like myths and legends and being like, all right, now this is here, now this is here. And this one is just like fascinated me a lot just because it's like, okay, cool. It's just like, of course it's myth and legend, but now we have all these instances, specifically of the gifting back or of lost items. And it's like,
Yeah. I mean, people always, I think expect Randy to give an explanation. He's like, I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, no, and I get that. Like, and that's part of this is just like, what are we dealing with? Because I don't think it's one thing. I think
No, I don't think it is either.
Yeah,
there's
just like,
times Randy has said this to me was sometimes I think like maybe the world was a little bit more like Lord of the Rings back in the day than we think, with a lot more like creatures out there that we're
hey,
not
Lord of the
used to.
Rings had a Bigfoot. Well, I guess it was more stone men in the books.
Yeah.
They're not in the movies, but yeah.
Yeah, they're the stone men. Um but having so what's the interaction between Bigfoot and the Yunwi Tsundi now? Um
Oh, I've thought about that.
like
It's not. Yeah, I mean, how would that even work?
yeah, it's like these little pests, do they eat them? Uh but like the Cherokee spoke of like they
Eat
used
them.
to war with these things too, right?
They said that they could be aggressive and that they would. It's according to some of the myths. There was a battle that was had somewhere in East Tennessee that the Yunwi Tsundi supposedly came and helped the Cherokee out with. Uh,
Huh.
yeah,
Is the Green Door the same myth, or is that just like Fae?
the Green Door. Are you talking about the one in Cumberland Caverns?
I mean, I thought that was part of the mythology is a green door. I
Yeah,
know that
yeah,
there was the kid talk about Cumberland Caverns, but I
yeah.
didn't know
There's
if the
one.
green door that we refer to was the Young Week Sunday as well, or if that was
I
just a
don't know.
different.
I don't know. I don't know if that. I mean, there's mythology of a green door in the cave systems down there.
Really?
Of it, yeah, of it going to another world.
I mean,
But
that
I know cavers that have worked the caves there, and they say that it's a certain type of lichen or moss that grows on the side of the cave. It's
like bioluminescent.
bioluminescent or whatever, slightly. So that's what they're saying. They're saying is that you're just seeing that lichen.
Well,
I
what was the
mean,
story about the young girl going in there?
I'm
You
not
know what I'm
sure.
talking about?
No, not off the top of my head.
That may be a Darby story.
hmm.
I do know that, and that may be from the book, honestly, that I can't find. That actually maybe because it seemed like what they were saying is the Cherokee said that they would. That's where they learn their medicine is from the little people. That
Yeah,
they learn the
yeah,
skills of medicine just from those guys, and they traded with them.
yeah,
Just again, just creepy.
yeah. They definitely make it out that they were a real people. It
Yeah.
sounds like not mythological fae.
Yeah, the Cherokees speak of like the wild man too that way is like they were
Yeah,
someone they interacted with. There was, relationship, between the tribes and whatever it is out in the woods. Um,
yeah. There's one Cherokee story. I can't remember the names of them. I'm not going to try to, but the crux of that whole story is that there is a maiden who has an elderly mother, and a Sasquatch, basically a 10-foot tall hairy man, uh, shows up and starts bringing deer to the maiden as basically a way of like,
help.
hey, are you interested in marriage? And that story is, he provided. They had a family. Uh, Again, I can't remember the names of the heroes of the story, but I have to look
Yeah.
it up.
I mean, there's a lot of stories of that from the Native Americans of, having like a good, relationship with these, with the wild men or the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot out in the woods, um, trading and doing all that, and even going to war with each other over stuff. And it's just, it just seems like it all stops too at a certain point. I mean, a lot of other shit happened, um, like,
Little slice of history, yeah.
yeah, um, but it's to think about like what was going on in the Americas at the time before a fucking white man showed up.
Oh yeah,
What was that like? Because it sounds in some of the, it's like you said, it's like not their myth or legend. This is like it's talked about as like no, they were people that were like neighbors, like
Yeah.
um
And where they found the cemeteries, that one cemetery in Hillsborough, and they found several more cemeteries in Sparta, near Sparta. All of them are at the base of the Cumberland Plateau.
hmm.
And it just so happens that they're all at the base of the Cumberland Plateau, where there's the most cave-ridden part of the Cumberland Plateau, for a small little human to evolve,
Yeah.
adapt for that niche. But it makes you wonder, like you're talking about, what did it look like back then? Like, would you have came in this area and there was like villages of these little guys?
Yeah. And that's like that's like wonderful to think about. Like it's so cool to think about like that's possibly what it was, they you know, it, they could have witnessed what happened to the Native Americans and just be like, "Oh, we need to just stay the f away." Um, and I think we've discussed that too about like the wild man stuff. They witnessed what happened to the Native Americans, um, from the and that terrible thing. But
Yeah.
like I could see why they would be like, "Well, we got to stay hidden," and now we don't see that stuff.
I do have some of
Oh,
that
is
pulled
this?
up from,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe that was Sparta. Yeah, so this is from Speaking with the Ancestors, and this book, I believe I got this from the archives in Nashville. You can get it through the just their
Oh,
website.
gotcha.
But yeah, I'll have to bounce around on some of these because these are out of order. But again, longest lasting folklore traditions in this part of Tennessee, the race of little people or the pygmies was supposedly once lived in White County in 1820. An extensive area of small stone box graves were discovered and reported by Turner Lane, a local resident. His report, along with other locals, formed the basis of the account of pygmies. Let's see. A number of small skeletons were discovered a few miles from Sparta in White County, an account of which was given by Mr. Lane. The graves are about 2 feet in length, 14 inches broad, and 16 inches deep. These extend promiscuously throughout the farm of Mr. Lane and a large and closely connected burying ground in the vicinity. From the great number of small graves found here, one being of larger size seems to indicate that there was in ancient times a race of people whose height was from 2 feet 10 to 3 feet.
Huh.
Said the story of the pygmies had reached national capital, and wrote that he had heard of Indian graves of peculiar kind that were found here, and he desired to inspect them.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now, I think this is the one that let's see. I think he did see some that he was convinced otherwise, but there was, infighting between what they found. So they discovered an ancient race of pygmies that had been buried in the deep valley before existing forest had grown up. They pronounced the skull's bone to have belonged not to children of the ordinary Indian race, but to adults of the pygmy race. A book was written and it became The Wonders of the Western Country.
Okay.
Let's see. Now, he went on to say he was satisfied himself that they were not remains of pygmies. As a scientist, he could not resist trying to make the case for an alternative interpretation, but with little success. Goes on to talk
This is
about
what gets me, right there where it says, before he parted with Mr. Doyle, I essayed to undeceive him about the pygmy race and told him that it was custom with a great many tribes of Western Indians to expose their adult dead upon scaffolds. And when all the soft parts had been wasted away, the bones of the skeletons were put into a very short grave. Basically saying that this is what's happened with these graves. There are no southeastern tribes that did this.
Yeah.
They none of them. None of them did that as a funerary rite. Much less did they bury them after they were done in this area. So, like, to me, it's like that's reaching for. I get that he's looking for like a more casual explanation for what they're finding there, but it seems like he's also reaching kind of.
Well, I've noticed recently too with a lot of this stuff where stuff gets kind of denied. A lot of the scientists and stuff are kind of, there's a lot of them that are kind of dead set that this just can't exist. Like it can't.
Yeah.
So it just it just can't. And it's just like, but what if it did? So like, why don't you approach it that way? Because apparently there's a lot of like contradictory, like there's a lot of evidence
Well,
and like contradicts shit that he's trying to put out there.
especially we found out in the last 10 years, we've discovered Homo naledi, Homo floresiensis, which
Yep.
was like, I think, like 20, 30 years now
Yep.
when we found it. But both of those are a human species that are 3 foot to 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
There were human species that were in this size range that they're talking about.
Yeah, we had hobbits,
So
guys.
we know that's the case now, and we're in literally the most cave-ridden part of North America. So if anything was going to live, was going to adapt like that, any other kind of small hominid, it would be in this area where they're saying they're finding all these graves.
And that's weird enough, and then we're getting people say, "Oh no, we saw something like that." It's like,
yeah.
And honestly, they're probably not tribes now. With all the mining and stuff that happened, and all the amount of tourism and stuff and everything that's happened. The growth of civilization around the area. I could see them being like very scattered and just surviving about just out there, not like what they used to, just a shadow of what they were. Yeah, that's oh, and it's wild because a lot of the time, what was the one you mentioned it earlier? It was the one that waited for the car to pass, but it was hiding. He was using a piece of trash to hide, wasn't it?
One that was a different one, but there was a one where someone saw one, and they said that it looked like it was wearing part of a bag and part of a piece of cardboard on it.
Yeah.
And said that it looked like it was trying to camouflage itself.
Didn't his headlights hit that one? Is that the one that the headlights hit? Yeah.
Yep. And so it looked like could just lay down. It would look like a pile of trash laying there on the side of the road.
So guys, kick the trash if you see it. That's all.
Yeah, you also had. I mean, way back when was you still in high school when you first heard about that? Like when
I was in 11th grade.
Yeah. So what was the story on that?
There was 2 Mormon sisters that worked at an old folks home, and I was dating one of them at the time. That's how I found out about it. They were driving home on the bypass through our town, going towards Rock Island, and as they got near where they were to turn, they were slowing down to turn, and on the side of the road, they said there was a little man on the side of the road, naked little man, and they said that they watched this thing just watch the car go by.
Look both ways before you cross.
And then cross the road behind them.
Have you just gone out driving at night just hoping? Just like driving around back roads like, come on. I did that when I was down for the convention. One of the nights I took Lauren out at night, and I was like, she's like, where are we going? I said, I just want to drive around. She's like, why? I was like, just in case. I was like, this road's kind of creepy. Maybe one will pop out on the road, it's Sasquatch.
Wish it was that convenient.
Right.
Look, that's how it always happens, though.
Yeah, you hear the stories, yeah.
You remember, it's like the last time we went out, I was like, I'm coming out, my batteries are half charged. Like, it's like I'm coming out slightly unprepared because that's when it will happen. Like, I'm like, let me just tempt fate a little bit by doing stuff to set it up, make myself a little bit unaware.
Did you watch that video I showed you or that I shared last week about the sonar?
I don't think so. I'll have to look at. I'll have to check. I don't think I did though.
So when this bat started screeching, it actually messed up the autofocus on the camera, which was crazy to see.
Yeah.
Ah.
I can't explain it any more scientifically than that.
There's basically that it was reaching such a decibel level that it was actually interfering with the mechanics of the fucking of the camera. And so we were
I didn't know that.
Like where we went out with full batteries before, and then the batteries just die on us.
Mm-hmm. It could be bats.
Or well, not just that. Like if they're using infrasound, possibly.
Infrasound, yeah.
I
wonder if the little ones, the pygmies, use it. You know, if they're down in like the dark. But then I think now I just want to imagine like little torches now. You know? I just watched the I rewatched it, the documentary on the Florence Naedi. What was not
Oh,
Florence.
Homo Lady?
Yeah, Homo Naledi. I watched that. Was it The Cave?
Yeah.
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 So the funny part was the first time I watched that documentary, I was just like, oh, it's about like they found like a burial place, and that's all I thought about, right? And I kind of missed the beginning. I wasn't paying attention, and then like realized as they're describing all this, and I was like, wait, they're talking about like little people. Like I didn't realize that in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And that like freaked me out because I was like, wait, hold on. Yeah, that documentary is like pretty incredible what they talk about in there. I thought that was really interesting. Just to be able to get down in that like cave, like how did they find? Like they found something at the entrance, right? And then they like went deeper to find stuff.
Where they found the Naledi fossils were like way deep in that cave.
Yeah, they go
in
down
an
what's
area that
called
they didn't even think anything could get back into it.
Yeah. But how do you know? How did they know to go in there? I forget how they got in there, but
Well, there was evidence that they were actually using art on the cave walls. The Homo Naledi was, which would completely redo everything we know about art.
Yeah.
You know, that would predate. That would be way before the Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Were scribbling on caves in France.
Yeah, that throws the timeline off, huh, boys?
So.
But just to think, like, with everything that's happened, like, these things have survived a lot of crap on this planet, too. Through a lot of crap, you know, like, not just us. All right, what's some other creepy stories about these? So what's the most recent sighting of one of these pygmies? Like one of these.
That was one of the lady that saw the one creeping out of her.
When did she see that? Like,
what was that? What was that? 4 years ago, I guess.
4 years.
Probably.
Ago.
About 4 years ago.
Have you gotten any more reports in that area?
Not since then. That's the last one I've got.
I mean, they're rare, even in compared to all the cryptid stuff. But again, I know you reached out to Mary Joyce and talked to her. Kind of got that connection.
Yeah, I would love to have Mary Joyce on here some point.
Okay, we'll put her on the list. I have no problem reaching out. And
she's what you said. She's probably the only one writing about this, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
So
explain
her to me. She becoming like the expert on them.
She's a researcher out of North Carolina. She's an elderly lady.
Mm-hmm.
But she's written a book called Cherokee Little People Were Real, and she lives about within a half hour, 45 minutes of Cherokee, North Carolina.
Okay.
So she's actually got the chance to go and talk to a lot of Cherokee elders, where she's got in good with them, and they've told her, according to her, if I'm remembering this correctly, there's at least 3 or 4 Yunwi Tsundi families that they're supposedly still living on the reservation.
Really?
Well, she's been told, yeah.
Didn't she point to a spot on the lake of like, yeah, I know they're right here?
I believe that was her, yeah.
Josh, we have tried to get her to come to the convention, but she just didn't want to drive that far. But multiple times we're like, we need you.
I've asked her both years.
I know there's points I've been like, are we switching from Wild Man to the little Cherokee little people? Because oh, she'd be great to have at the convention. Oh man.
Yeah. She doesn't travel far now though, so
no,
she can't
I get
come.
that. But I bet you we could definitely try to get her on here. That'd be fun to talk to her about that.
She would definitely be the person to talk to, yeah.
Yeah.
We have had a panel about it. Gato did the panel.
Yeah.
Talking about
that was our first year, right?
Yeah. And I just remember Randy talked about like he was watching the crowd, and as he like goes to describe these things, everybody in the crowd was like, ugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a good opener to the first year of the convention. It really freaked people out in the beginning, being like, also, this is the most recent sighting. Everyone's like, oh no, I kind of live near there.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder how they're like. Well, they definitely like what you described. Like they've adapted to this new world, right? They're using the trash,
Yeah,
camouflage.
it's the things that gets me is when they've always been every report I've heard or been told to me at least
Mm-hmm.
has been of them being naked.
Yeah.
I've talked to people or I've listened to other podcasts and stuff where people have been on there and they've had stories and they talk about their stories where they've watched these things wear clothes, almost as if they've seen these things take them off the lines, where someone's out drying their clothes or whatever.
Yeah, they just steal some like Oshkosh bagosh.
But everybody I've talked to that have come to me about having a sighting has said they've been naked,
I just
which
think
to me has made it creepier.
yeah, I just imagine like the brownies from Willow, those little guys like running around. Uh,
God,
and,
those things were annoying in that movie.
oh yeah, but they were awesome. But
Yeah.
but like
See,
to think about them up on the mountain with us, it's like again, I go back to what we've talked about before of like there's so much space. Like they could be like there's so much area for them to be able to like live and survive out there without even people coming up into that area. They can hide no matter what, like they got so many places to hide. It's so wild. You're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
find them unless, like you're saying, like Houston said, like it's the most rare of it. The cryptid sightings that we have down here. So it's like exciting when we get one.
Yeah.
So if you've had Cherokee Little People sighting, contact us.
yeah, please.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, Hellbent Holler did a segment on it too recently. Was it like last month? They talked about
It's been about a month, 6 weeks, something like that.
yeah. So I mean, it's becoming something. And when we had them at the first year convention, I think you guys talked to Joe about it, right? Because I think like you did that, you brought up you're gonna do it, and then he was like, "Oh, we've been looking into this too."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys? I mean,
That one we just don't have a lot of info on.
yeah, but it's so interesting.
Like I said, I don't claim that that's what was, moved my knife, but
Something did.
it's thrown in there with the rest of the,
I
it
will
goes,
say
it goes with the mythology of that.
I like your how you said it. You're pranking yourself with time travel.
Yeah.
You know what, Houston? Show up then. All right, I want to see the other Houston. I want to
right?
Show yourself.
All gray and grizzled and laughing.
Then what if everything me and Randy went out is just me and Randy, future me and Randy, fucking with ourselves out in the
Yeah. Knocking back.
It'd be maddening. Be maddening to find something like that out.
So another part of this, and I want to explain to our audience is, Randy's been into this, looking into this for a very long time, and everyone on this team has been one of the persons that just gave Randy like, "Hey man, I'll go out with you," and then
Come
again
back with stories.
Well, you come back with the stories, but also like it's pretty amazing the times like I've heard Randy talk about this stuff, and then we go out and it happened.
Right.
It's that whole, like I've said, it's like it's fun in games. It's really fun until you're like, you get knocked back at,
Yeah.
or you get a rock thrown at you. You get like, and you're like, holy crap. Randy, it feels good, right? That you like, tell me it feels good. It's okay. We're here. We're with you now. Like, how it must feel so good that it was like validating that like you took me out.
Dude, whenever I've taken you guys out and they've done stuff, yes, it's felt like amazing because it's like I'm not alone. I don't feel like a crazy person.
I think
we do take a lot of people out, and majority of the time, nothing's going to happen. I
Mhm.
mean, people need to know that. I mean, there's been people that contact Randy, and he's like, "Yeah, I can take you out sometime. Like, you need to know you may be wasting a trip." Randy will be the first to say, like, "Hey, we were going out there 4 times a week, and that's when stuff was happening." But like, they was probably majority of the times that nothing was. I mean, it was just the times that it was.
That's
You
why I
know,
usually when I come down for those, like I haven't done it in a while, but like 10 days, I gotta
right,
you gotta habituate the area.
Well, I figured it out once, and where I was going up there 4 times a week for about 18 months,
Yeah.
um, I had, okay, along with you and Gato that one time,
Hmm.
uh, I had 3 sightings in 18 months, 4 times a week. I mean, up there all the damn time. And each time one of those sightings was like 2, 3 seconds.
Hmm.
So it's like that, to make it out that, like, oh, if you're out there in these areas, even a whole bunch, you're just going to have these things all over you. You're gonna have all kinds of crazy shenanigans. You might not. It's mostly just going out and appreciating nature and hoping that they're cool to do something.
Yeah, and it goes back to like most of our guests at the convention too. Is a lot of going out with like just the intent too, and like I know that gets into it starts to edge into the woo a bit, but like you know I've always gone out with like excitement that I'm like
right.
I want to. Hey, I'm chill. I'm just like excited to be out and appreciate where I'm at and like
Well, you're
oh
always excited that this could be the time too. This
yes
could be the
yes
time that I'm going to see something.
yeah and specifically like when it's been just like me, Randy, Catman, and you guys, just like the team. That's when the good stuff comes.
Right.
That's when the good stuff like happens, and a lot of that comes from when we do take people out. They are excited and they talk a lot, and it's like, but when we go out, it's like quiet. And the minute we hit the trail and we're in there, and it's just like very talking quiet, very like there's our intent is in there to just try not to, I don't know, not disturb, like just observe.
Yeah,
Yeah, this past Sunday when I was there, like Randy at one point stopped and like waited on me to catch up, but I purposely was like, "No, you guys go ahead." Like I was trying to, hear more stuff because I mean, it's fall. We're just hearing the leaves more than anything. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like any time we were out there, stuff's gonna know we're out there. I mean, like even if it
Hmm.
was just deers and stuff like that, like they knew we were out there. You can't sneak up on that.
And well, my first time, I think we did, and I think that's what happened on my
I
first time.
Well, I was talking about just because of the
Yeah,
fall,
yeah,
like the
exactly.
leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You're not gonna sneak up on them, but like my first time going out, I'm very sure what happened was, and you can see it in the videos and stuff like that, was that we jumped a fence, went up a trail that's not used at all, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we rolled up on one that was on sentry duty and was caught unaware because that was when
He
everything
was up there. He was up there with eyes on those houses.
yeah, and we came up
Yeah.
from the flank and we had him on the run for most of that trek up to the quarry and then back down because he was trying to whatever it was trying to stay ahead of us the whole time. And that
He was
was
keeping eyes on us.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is in the videos going through back again. I've been going through all of it, but like there's a point you're like, you ready to go back? I'm like, yeah, but I want to go back to the plateau and go fuck with them. Like I was so excited, like I want to go back down there, and that's when we get the rock clacking happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. But I think that's what it is. It's just like we just went in and like caught them off guard, and
right.
that's what happens. And I think that was a rare experience. That was a 1% chance of happening. And that wasn't even our intent. We weren't even expecting anything to happen that day.
Right.
Like I wasn't expecting anything to happen that day. It was supposed to just be a camera test. I wanted to test the equipment in the Tennessee heat and test myself having to, haul this thing up a mountainside, all the equipment. And like I'm glad like I was prepared because of what happened. And yeah.
Yeah, these are some pretty extreme trails that we're taking at times.
Yeah. I like down for the convention again. We went up Cardwell, and it was Cardwell, right? We went up.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
And yeah, like I forget like the mountains we have up here in New England are hills compare to you guys down there, and it's like
Yeah,
we
there's
were
been
going.
multiple people have heat strokes while we're out.
Yeah. Oh, is that? Yeah, it was you.
I've had
What
two.
was that?
You had two. And
And then Gato.
yeah.
Catman's had one.
Well, Catman
That was
wears
kind of his
nothing.
own fault though. Like he stayed up all night and was like, "Oh no, we're gonna go. I'll meet you guys early in the morning." It's like, dude, you didn't even sleep. And then like, yeah, he crashed on the way up there.
Wild
Ugh.
man. He's the wild man.
Yeah,
He's the wild man. We'll get Gato on. We'll get Gato on one episode.
yeah, that needs to happen soon. He's got a good story.
He's got great stories. He's got some, because all those other times you were going out 4 times a week. A lot of the time, Catman was right there with you.
Yeah. After I caught that the video of that rock being thrown, that Catman came by the day after that happened when I found the rock actually in the footage, and he started going up with me like a couple of days after that. So
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you've not seen the videos, there are some videos of Catman. Like, what was it? Just not long after he had his sighting, and he goes on to describe Robin Williams / Chewbacca.
Yeah.
somewhere between Robin Williams and
Chewbacca. Yeah. That was the Tree Peaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from the expedition. Yeah. The good times. We're gonna have to do an episode. We're gonna have to show these videos because we keep referencing this trip. I'm gonna have to get stuff cut together so we can actually show it on here for people to see. And we can probably walk through what's happening. I think that'll be fun. Yeah.
I mean, you can just play them and do an audio commentary. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. We'll see. I don't know. I like the live. It might be fun doing it live and scrubbing through it with you guys.
Yeah.
I remember when we left the quarry that day. Do you remember we got back to your apartment, Randy, and immediately like footage into your computer, and we were like scrubbing everything. We were like, make sure this actually happened. Did it happen? Yep. Did we get the rock get thrown? Like there was like the excitement getting back to the apartment to did we get it? Did we get it? Did we get it? Did we get the audio? Did we get the visual? Did we get this? And then we were like scrubbing through everything just to see, was there something we didn't see?
Yeah.
It's good times. All right, fellas. I think that's it for today, for this episode.
All right.
40 in Tennessee podcast. Say goodnight, Randy.
Good night, Randy.
Good night, everyone.
Take care, guys.